What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and in this video I'm going to be talking about medical insurance. Now, this is something that I wish I had learned about before I went into the workforce. Now, if you've watched some of my old videos, you know that actually went to work for an insurance company as an analyst, and I was doing that for 2 years. So I know quite a bit about insurance. So I wanted to make this video to help out, somebody who might be graduating from college and they're looking at all these insurance options that they might have, and they're so confused. So I want to make this video really short. Just going to cover the basics. Now, I'm going to be focusing on medical insurance because that is the most important insurance, right? If you look at some of these medical bills, you know why you need to have medical insurance. Now, there's other types of insurance like vision, dental, disability, and a bunch of other types of insurance. I'm not going to be talking about those in this video. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys want videos on those. But we're going to be talking about medical insurance. Now, let's say you just graduated from college, right? You are 24 or 23. Sometimes you don't have to sign up for insurance simply because you can be on your parents' insurance for, I think, until you turn 26. Don't quote me on that. But most people don't, or most people want to have their own insurance, so you might have to pick one. So let's say you get hired at a company and you got the offer, that's exciting, and now it's time to pick your insurance, right? Now you're looking at the medical section and there's a bunch of options and you don't know which one to pick. Don't worry, I got you. Now, before we even get into all that, I want to talk about, what's going to happen once you sign up for it. There's going to be what's called a waiting period, right? So this is, for some companies, it's a month, right? So let's say you start working today, right? Your insurance might be effective 30 days from now, right? Or sometimes 60 days, sometimes 90 days as well, right? And that's because insurance always usually starts at the beginning of the month, right? Now you can look at, let's say you get fired or you leave a company in the middle of the month, right? Sometimes your insurance is going to be, or most of the time, your insurance is still going to be effective until the end of the month, right? Because they like to start it. That's what insurance companies like to do. They like to start it at the beginning of the month. So companies will say, let's say I get hired today, they'll say your insurance will become effective the first of 2 months from now, or the first of a month from now, the first of so they have these waiting periods in order to make it start at, that's one of the reasons to start at the first of the month, right? Now if I get fired on the second of the month, the third, the fourth, the fifth, still gonna have insurance until the end of that month, right? So that's kind of like the basics, right? You have the waiting period, and also if you get terminated from an employer, you're still gonna have insurance until the end of that month, and then after that, you might have Cobra options, which is a different topic. There are two types of insurance, right? When it comes to medical, so you have your employer-based health insurance, and you also have private insurances, right? So I can go to a company like Fidelity Life or Fidelity Life Insurance, right, or Fidelity whatever, and I can go ask them, hey, I want private health insurance, right? And I'm gonna get charged, and it usually costs a lot of money. So you always want to go with the employer-based health insurance. That's always gonna be cheaper than going for private insurance, right? It's always gonna be cheaper, and this is because employer-based health insurance has to be affordable, which means that it is not going to cost you more than 9.6% of your income. So it is always going to be cheaper than paying the full amount directly to the insurance company. So when you are employed, a lot of employers have what's called a cost share, right? So let's say I select a plan that costs $900, or let's say $1,000 to make the math easier. So my plan costs $1,000 a month. I might be only paying $400 because the employer covers the 600, right? So that's kind of like the cost share. And this can be different with every company because some companies might have a lot of money in their health and welfare accounts that they use to pay for these insurance premiums, and they're not allowed to spend that money on anything else other than insurance, right? So they'll cover a bigger portion of that premium, and you end up paying less. Some companies don't have money, so you might be paying a little more than someone who works at a company that has a lot of money to cover some of that premium. All right, so let's say that you are still on your parents' health insurance, right, and you plan on being there for the next 2 years or so. You can sign what's called a waiver. So you do not have to sign up for the employer-based insurance. You can sign what's called a waiver, which is essentially saying that, hey, my employer offered me insurance, health insurance, but I'm choosing to waive this because I have coverage elsewhere. So you do not have to sign up for that insurance if you already have it, right? So a lot of people feel obligated to, because it's like, or you need to sign up for medical insurance. But if you're already covered, you can sign what's called a waiver, which is essentially saying, hey, it's essentially proof that the employer offered you the health insurance, but the medical insurance, but you chose to waive it because you have coverage elsewhere. All right, so let's pretend that you are gonna pick one of the plans, right? So if you're looking at the form, you're gonna see one of these two options. So the employer might say, hey, we have this one plan here. This is what we have. You either say you want it or you don't, or you choose to waive it, right? So you can just pick that plan, and there's gonna be a premium associated with that. It's gonna tell you. Or a lot of employers, they actually have one plan, right? It says medical insurance, right? It tells you the provider and things like that. Now, you are going to have different levels, right? So the most common that I've seen, sometimes they base it off of, this silver level, and then you have gold, you have platinum, you have, just different levels. So the main difference is going to be the advantages that you get from each plan, as well as the premium that you pay to afford those advantages or benefits from that plan. All right, so one of the biggest things that you are going to notice when you're looking at these different levels of medical insurance, it is going to be the premium. So premium is how much you pay, right? It's essentially how much it's going to cost you, whether they're taking it out every paycheck. It's going to be how much it's going to cost you. So that's what premium is. So that's going to be the biggest difference that you see between the plans. So if you go to the lowest plan, let's say silver is the lowest, right? And platinum is the highest. So let's say I want to go with silver. You are going to see that the premium, which is how much you pay every paycheck, it's going to be very cheap, right? But at the same time, if you look at your deductible, it's going to be really high. So a deductible is essentially how much you have to pay out of pocket until the insurance kicks in. So let's say I pick, a silver plan. Let's say I get paid bi-weekly, and the premium is going to be, let's say $40, right? So every time I get a paycheck, $40 is going to be deducted from my pay, and it's going to be, contributed to my insurance plan, right? And let's say the deductible for that is going to be $3,000. So this means that if I have to go to the doctor, I have to pay the first $3,000 out of pocket, right? Once it goes over the $3,000, that's when the insurance kicks in and pays anything else above that. So if you want to look at this as a disadvantage, that is one of those where you are going to have to pay a lot before the insurance kicks in. So that's the price you pay for having to pay less premium. Now, if you look at the other option, let's say you're going to go with the platinum level, right? So let's say that's the highest level of insurance that you can get. Now, let's say your premium is going to be $300. So for every paycheck you get, you contribute $300 to your medical plan. Now, your deductible might be $500. Now, you see what's happening here, right? You pay more premium and your deductible gets lower. So you pay the first $500, and then after that, your insurance kicks in. Now, if you want to look at this from a perspective of, the back end, which is what I used to do. Now, if you are contributing more, like if you use the example of the two, if you use the two examples that I just used, so the first one, someone is contributing $40 every paycheck, right? Compared to someone who's contributing $300. The person that's contributing $300 does not have a big deduction, right? Simply because the insurance is able to cover that, because the person is contributed a lot more money compared to someone who is contributing $40. So your deduction is going to be a lot higher. It's going to be at that $3,000 mark, right? So you have to cover the first $3,000. But then if you are the other person that has the platinum level, you just have to be able to cover the first $500. So you can make the choice based on how your health is. So if you are a person that goes to the doctor a lot, a person that, you're a person that just needs the doctor, all the time historically, you might want to go with the higher plan, which means you're not going to pay a lot out of pocket, right? If you're someone who never goes to the doctor, maybe you go once in a while, but it just never happens historically, then you can go with, the lowest plan where you have a high deductible, because you're not going to go to the doctor that much. So you might be able to save up, to that deductible, but you're not losing money to the insurance company without actually using the insurance. Some employers are going to give you the option of picking what's called an HSA, which is a health savings account. So this is a great account to have, simply because the money that's going to be contributed to this account is going to be pre-tax, right? So that means it lowers your taxes at the end of the year, right? So let's say I have the basic plan, and then I tell my employer to deduct $100 every paycheck to add to my health savings account. Now, there's a limit on how much you can contribute to that account, since it's a tax advantage account. So there's limitations. I think it could be around $5,000-$6,000 a year or something like that. I'm not really sure, but there's a limit on that since it's a tax advantage account. Now, what's going to happen is, before the employer takes out the taxes on your income, they're going to contribute to your HSA, right? That means you're not paying taxes on that money. But then you can use that money to pay for medical expenses that can qualify. They'll give you a form that tells you all the medical expenses that qualify to be paid with the pre-tax income that's been contributed to your HSA account. Now, when you have an HSA account, the goal is to put enough money to cover your deductible. So if you have that low plan and you know that your deductible is $3,000, that's how much you need to put in there. You can put in more, but you always need to cover that deductible. Now, there's other options like the FSA. We can talk about all these things in a different video. I want to make this video really short. Now, there's two other major things that I want to throw in there. There's going to be two different plans, right? Sometimes you might see the name of the insurance plan, the names are going to be different. They're going to have weird names, right? But then you might see something like HMO or PPO. Those are the two most popular ones. So I'm going to start off with the HMO. So the HMO plan is essentially a health maintenance organization, right? So HMO plans have strict networks and require referrals to see a specialist, right? So I'll give you a good example when it comes to this. So let's say you have an HMO plan and you have something wrong with your skin. You want to go to the skin doctor, or I think they call them a dermatologist or something like that. You cannot just go to that specialist, right? Any doctor that specializes in something, you can't just go to it. You have to get a referral. So this means you have to go to a regular doctor first, and then the regular doctor refers you to the specialist, right? So you're not going to be able to go straight to the specialist. So that's the biggest disadvantage when it comes to a plan that's an HMO plan or a health maintenance organization, right? You have to be referred to specialists. That is the biggest disadvantage. So that is how they create business in these networks. Now, there's another major option called a PPO, or a preferred provider organization. These don't require referrals and they let you go outside of your network. These are going to be the popular ones, right? HMOs are kind of like rare to find, but most of the time you are going to find PPOs. So these are going to be plans that if you look at the form, you are going to see in network and out of network, right? So if you go in network, so they have their own network that they use of doctors and healthcare providers that they have in their network, right? Which you can go and you are going to get great benefits for using the people in the network, but you also have the ability to go outside of the network, and usually you have to pay more money, obviously, since you're not contributing to their business within the network. For the most part, you are going to see a lot of PPO plans. HMOs, you're never really going to see those a lot, but PPOs you are going to see. But it's important to know, because let's say you're looking at the health plan and you see there's a HMO, there's a PPO, you need to know what those are. So that's why I wanted to cover those. All right, so that is pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go ahead and hit the like button. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel, but I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.